So today we are interviewing, asking some questions to Sylvia that has been that kind of nice to say yes to it and literally just share with us, with me and with everybody out there, what their personal journey has been, how it has impacted her life, and how things are going. So Sylvia came to me a couple of months ago. We have been working together now for about 6-7 weeks, which was quite amusing to us because we thought we'd been working together for way longer.
Oh, yes.
And that's just a testimony about great things have been and how fast change can happen if we have the right resources, if we know what we're doing. Sylvia came to me with certain specific goals and also a little bit of uncertainty in, I know there is a next level. I know there's things that need to change. I know there is this next level. There is things I want to change. There are things that I want to work on to improve myself. I might know what those look like. I might know what to do, but I'm not sure these are the actual things that I should do. I'm not even sure what I can expect out of being in a coaching program, having a coach. So there was both, I want to change, I need to change. There is something that I want to do with my life, with myself, but at the same time, that uncertainty of, is this ever going to work for me? Is this the right thing for me? Who needs a coach? What a coach is? What is this kind of all about? And after a couple of conversations, we decided, yes, it sounds like we're a perfect fit. It sounds like you're the right person to come and join. It sounds like you're the right person that can help. And we started working together. And Sylvia's goals and the kind of work we started off with was mostly based on mindset, meaning breaking pattern of behavior, raising self-awareness in what was going on that was holding her back. And now we're just about to start the fitness part because Sylvia was already doing a lot of fitness things herself. She nails that part. So now we're just optimizing that. But we shifted a lot of things. And Sylvia, if you give me the highlights of who you are, just for people listening, so we know, how busy you are and how many things you have going on, but still find the time and the willingness to do this work.
Yeah, my name is Sylvia. I use she, her pronouns, and I am 35. I work full time. I work in an NGO called LGBT Plus Denmark, and I have a partner, which I got married to this summer. And I have a 5-year-old with lots of energy. So I have a pretty full plate, I would say, with
Yes.
both job and kids.
You're a busy person,
I'm a
a
busy
lot's going
person, yeah.
on.
Actually, a lot going on,
Yes.
yeah.
And on top of your work and your kid and your husband and everything in your life, we also know you are a fitness person. You love to train. So you have the gym, you have your friends. So you're not a person that has a lot of time.
No.
And I am just kind of making aware of that for the audience, because a lot of people think, oh, if I join a coaching program, that's going to take time away from what else I have to do. But as
for
you
me,
know,
it was actually the opposite. I can say already that I had that thought going in before we had our initial talks. Was like, okay, how will I manage to find the time? But then I quickly realized that going into this program was actually going to give me more time. I experienced that pretty fast, and that was like a big eye opener for me. That actually had the exact opposite effect. By prioritizing myself, I got more time because it was a lot about mental blocks for me.
So how were you able to make extra time, but actually taking care of yourself, or focusing a little bit of time daily on yourself? How was that shift very quickly?
Yeah, I think first of all, it was like taking the decision to really prioritize myself and take that time just for me instead of like feeling bad about it. So the first of all was like, okay, I also deserve to take some time for myself. Like the good image with the oxygen mask on yourself first. I realized that I was feeling stressed. And in order not to feel so stressed, I needed to look at myself and take that time. Putting it in my calendar, deciding it, voicing it, and making that like agreement with my partner made it possible in a way that I wasn't really able to do before, because I was always like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I will do it maybe like when I have my holiday. It's like, now I take this hour in my calendar like any other appointment. Like if I haven't had a meeting at work, I'll be like, this is a meeting with myself, and in this case with you, where I'm going to figure out, okay, how can I work on myself and some of the things I was struggling with at the time.
Perfect. So prioritizing yourself, taking that time, and 1 hour is just literally because we had a meeting and
Yeah.
I was coaching you, you were coaching yourself through it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't need to be even an hour. It can
Oh,
be
no.
literally like 5 to 10 minutes a day, but where is intentional, right? And we know what to do, when to do it, and what to focus on. What were you struggling with before joining? What were the things that you were struggling with?
I mean, I was mainly struggling with feeling completely out of touch with myself. I couldn't like feel what did I want to do, what made me happy. I felt like a lot of stress in my body. I felt like overwhelmed by the world. I felt like I was always like running behind everything and lacking like a balance in things. I'm really good in like making systems and planning things, but I felt like this has been a good tool, but it's not really working for me the way it used to. So much going on in my head, and all the things I usually took up my toolbox didn't seem to work anymore for me. And I felt
And
like in my relationship with my partner and with my child, I felt like I was projecting the stress onto them. I got really like irritated very quick. I realized that I needed to look at how I managed, especially like my reactions to my stress.
okay, so there was overwhelm, there was stress, there was a lot of things to do, and the things that you've been working on before were not really connecting with you anymore. They
Yeah.
weren't working anymore. And connecting to that, I know you have been seeing, like I've done, and a lot of my clients have as well, and we know a lot of people do, which is amazing. We take care of ourselves by going to therapy, seeing different therapists. It could be
Yeah.
psychologists, it could be whatever other kind of therapy. And I know that people that then come to me, and that's also my experience, and I've been open about it. I know how much therapy works, and I'm definitely an advocate for people going to therapy, but I also know at some point it kind of stops working in a way, or we reach a certain point and then those tools don't work anymore, or we need a different perspective, or we need some action to be taken instead of only working relating to the past. So there is a certain point where we're proud of all the progress we made, but there is still like, how do we get to the next level? How do we really then make things happen for us that we want to see? And that is kind of the bridge we try to close. So for you, having that experience of being to therapy, taking care of yourself on so many levels, also had a personal trainer, worked on so many different things, both with your health, your physique, like how you feel, your body, and your mental health. What was the experience being in those, like taking care of those things singularly, and then coming to a program where we take that as a whole holistic approach?
I mean, first of all, the shift was, I cannot say it enough, it was like really amazing. It was mind-blowing in a way that I really didn't think possible. Because as you mentioned, I've tried different, like very isolated things. Then I looked like, for example, with personal training, then I looked like at my fitness routine and my physical well-being. And then with my therapist, I maybe looked at it like from a metacognitive point of view or something. And it felt all the time like I'm looking at these isolated things in my life, but I'm not like connecting them. And I'm not connecting like my mind and my body together at all. I try to do it myself, but I was like, how do I do this? And this is also one of the things why I chose you and this program is like this holistic approach where you take different kind of things, but they're all intertwined together, had like such a big impact on basically every part of my life. Like at first I thought, okay, this is something I'm doing mainly for myself, of course, and in my dynamics with my partner. But then it quickly evolved into I could also see shifts in the way I parent my child and my relationship with him. I could also see it in my day-to-day work with how I handle like both external and internal collaborations. Also with my friends recently, I also feeling like, wow, it's also something that's connecting to my friendships. So this way of realizing that everything is connected and feeling like that the work I do with myself, that this process is making it all come together in a way I've never tried before. I knew that this was the approach, but I was still amazed by how much it all came together.
That's amazing to hear, of course, of course. And that's also what, that's why we built it that way, right? We have it's individualized, so not everybody gets the same. We have some principles, we have some pillars, we have some things we go through. So we have the fitness part, we have like our body connection, we work on the mind, on our blocks, on our limiting beliefs, or how we're like our patterns of both thinking and behavior, and we bring that all together in what I would say it's shifting that identity, right? Because people usually have that, you know, if when I change things, then I get a result, and then I'm going to be that kind of person that I really want to be. But what we're trying to do here is building that kind of person that you want to be, bringing it back into the present instead of having it into the future. So by having these clear goals, yes, but like we bring that identity into our daily life, doing certain actions, knowing what to do, when to do it with the roadmap, shifting the mindset. So we embrace that, acknowledge that, live that, and then go take those actions. And then that kind of the reality that you're struggling to achieve or want to achieve is literally just like it catches up.
Yeah.
So you're already that kind of person. Reality will become. So whatever the goals you're having, they will come with certainty because you are being that person that you always wanted to be already now, instead of having to achieve it. But it is difficult. So that's why we do still need systems. We need roadmaps. We need to know what approaches. We need to know what do we focus on this week to eliminate the overthinking, the self-doubt. So we have those formulas, right? For you, if you were to explain the process that you've been going through and how it works together, what were the things that you were most surprised about? Or how was the process for you? How's the process being for you right now? Because we're still working together.
I mean, one of the first things I really took to heart was the approach of like realizing just trying things and failing, and then feeling okay about failing, because then you are like one step closer to understanding how you can do it right. So it's like shifting the way you look at like failing. And
I think the difficult thing that I encounter having this job is explaining what is this all about. Because people come to me with all different kind of goals, all different things they want to achieve, usually based on how they think, how they behave, meaning fitness-wise, reaching their goals, whether it's losing fat, building muscles, body recomposition, looking a different way, feeling a different way. But it can also be achieving balance, get rid of the overwhelm, of the overthinking, right? Or whatever fear, knowing that there is that next level and not really having experienced that already. And what we do is we're training the mind to how to shift in a different identity, right? But it is all about managing your thoughts, managing emotions, being self-aware, and knowing how you personally are going to achieve those things. So again, we always work with personal success formula, meaning every program is different, even if it's based on the same pillars that I teach and what we go through, but at the same time is taking what you, the individual, as an LGBTQ person, are needing based on your lived experience, your situation, your lifestyle. No program looks the same, but at the same time, we also have a community, and you can attest to that, Silvia, probably. We're still all on the same boat. We're still working on the same things. And whether we're trying to lose fat, or we're trying to get rid of overwhelm and stress, or we're trying to be balanced or overcome certain traumas, like to get to that next level, we're still basically, at the end of the day, if we dig deeper enough and we talk to each other, we're still dealing with the same mind traps. We're still dealing with our humanness. And that makes us, you know, especially as LGBTQ people, we have a lot of things in common. So how was the experience of being in all this program with the community, with the coaching? What came out of this? What results are you seeing in this 6 to 7 weeks?
Wow, I'm almost like, what results haven't I seen? I feel like I've seen so many, and also just to state for everyone that there's of course always up and downs. I was also in a period where I started where then I was like, shit, what is happening now? I had like this big peak in the beginning, and then suddenly it dropped again. I got sick, and I was like, oh no, all my good progress is like floating away from me. But then I remembered your words, was like, just stay consistent, stay with it, focus on, then just tone it down a little bit, focus on the small things, and then it's normal, it's part of the process. And I had faith in that, and I was like, okay, I'm sticking to it. And then right now I feel like I'm having like some really big realizations in how far I've come in, like, as we realized today, just 6-7 weeks. It feels crazy.
It is.
It really is. This week I went on a trip with one of my oldest friends who've known me for like more than 25 years. And in my conversations with her. That's where I realized the big shift in me was that I didn't need to prepare for something before it happened. I had trust in myself that if shit happened, I would just figure out a solution. And it might sound a little basic, but for me, it's like a really big shift in that I've always planned like so much ahead that I didn't have faith in my own abilities to handle shit in a way. I feel much more confident in myself and my abilities to handle all different kinds of situations, and that I'm not using all my energy on worrying about things that go wrong. I worry about possibilities instead. Like
it's more like calming the mind and
yeah,
having more that sense of control. And I think a lot of people might relate, but I also think that the more we do this kind of work,
yeah,
the more we enter a new level of awareness where we realize, oh God, how was I dealing with life before?
yeah,
Because we enter this, like, we think we know ourselves, we think we know what's wrong, but when we actually get to that point, we're like, oh wow. And your ability to deal with stress, to deal with overwhelm, like in this time and age, how we're living now, being focused, being consistent, knowing what to do, when to do it, trusting yourself, letting go of fears, letting go of anxieties, takes away so much of your mental bandwidth.
yep,
And just your physical energy. That's why we reconnect the body with the right nutrition, with movement. We need to give that to the body, because it's going to influence the mind, and the mind, the way we think, the way we act, is going to influence our body. So it's a whole work that we need to piece together. How much more life are you able to experience? How much more risk are you willing to take? And how many, we know, after going out of the comfort zone, how many greater things can you give to others? Can you get for yourself? Can you improve about the world? Just being more present and connected, right? And just focus on doing the things, not being led by fear, anxieties, overthinking, just like depressions and all like low energy states. And we know for our community especially how important that is, that we can thrive so that we can give more, because people out there need us, right?
Now I felt like I also wanted to share that one thing that I've been working on, that I realized from my coaching with you, was how I've had like a pattern of always running away from unpleasantness. If something felt unpleasant, I either felt the need to like create create a good vibe in the room. It's my responsibility to make sure that to care for everyone else's feelings, and I didn't really realize how much it was taking away from myself because of trauma A or trauma B. I always went into this analytical state, and I know all this. I've done the work. I know why I have the patterns I have. The shift that you helped me make was to be like, instead of asking the why, then just asking, okay, but yeah, what happens in my body the next time I feel like I'm in an unpleasant situation where I feel the urge to like manage the mood or just go out of the situation? I will stay and I will be curious. But I also felt that I suddenly had the power to have a more authentic reaction to the situation. Instead of before, I would either just be so focused on the other person, I wouldn't feel it myself, or I would just like literally run away from the situation and afterwards feeling regret, like, why didn't I?
We do not want to obliterate emotions, right?
No.
I always say, like, it sounds sometimes when we talk about the things that what we're trying to do is to cancel emotions or make you not feel bad emotions, but it's actually the opposite. We work on emotions and we take them all in, and we actually look at them, and all this process of taking control of your emotions, taking control and calming the mind, like having strategies, tools, ways of thinking, and literally that we plot into your subconscious basically with this work, and having that feeling I'm in control of my own life. I think a lot of people feel that they're controlled by either their emotions or their reactions to things. And they don't even realize, many people don't even realize how much they actually are controlled. And if they were controlling the actual thing, how much more there is. So it's all those subconscious patterns that we're trying to break or trying to look at, being curious about, and then go do something about if they're not serving us, right? And that also comes from learning, for example, in this situation, right? Learning how to have boundaries and how to not be a people pleaser. That is something that a lot of people struggle with. If someone is watching right now and they were like, do I even need a coach? What is coaching? I do already have a therapist. I'm working on myself in other ways. And they were on either not sure of what this was all about, or they
Mm.
were on the fence about booking a call with me or reaching out to someone else, even just to get help to do this kind of work on body and mind, what would you tell them?
I mean, the first thing I wanted to say was just like, try it. I mean, it's a possibility to work on yourself in a completely new way. And I know it always feels terrifying reaching out to someone you don't know. That's like the first barrier. So easy for me to say, oh yeah, just do it. I remember myself like having like sweaty hands when we were about to talk on the phone the first time. I can just say that working with you, you're so authentic, and that's one of the things that made me like connect to you immediately, is that you have like found this perfect sweet spot between being extremely professional but also private at the same time, because you share your own personal journey, and that also factors into how you created the program and how you coach your clients. And it's like, it's such a delicate balance that you can't like put it in a formula, but I can just say that you nailed it, and it makes like a huge difference, because I can really feel you, and I can feel that what you've created is something that comes from own personal experience, but it also comes from like many years of deep diving in different kind of studies, different kind of educations, and you've created something totally unique. I've been feeling ever since I joined the program, like to enter like this completely safe zone where I know that there's someone who's going to push me to be better, but also all the time having my back, holding my hand, and taking that time always to look at like, what are the fundamentals, but how does this apply to you? This program, compared to anything else I've tried before, is exactly this holistic approach, the personalized individual way just for you. And I've never had that before in any other program or therapy or anything, just looking at me as a person, but also at the same time connecting me to our community. I also have to really underline that that's also a really big part of me, is the community that I'm part of building with you and with the others. It's so amazing to experience, and such a privilege to be part of. It sounds so simple, but it's so crazy powerful. So yeah, I just have to say that there's so many different things. So taking that leap, and it's also okay to just write, Nevan, I'm curious, tell me more. I don't know, but I want to know more. Like, you don't need to have a perfect answer or know what you want.
And also, not everybody can get access to this, because I
Yes,
do not
it's
have
also
unlimited
exclusive.
time.
Yeah. No, of
It's a
course.
little bit exclusive because
Yeah.
I have exclusive time. I don't have a lot of time. So the people that, I think part of the fact that, especially this group of people, the past 6 months, the results that I'm seeing, it came from me changing up, renewing the program, making it more powerful, only being focused on the few things that I've so through the years really were impactful, but also me being very clear on who I let in, who I want to work with, and saying no to people that are not the right people or not in the right spot right now. And that brought me all of you that are a few specially picked people, and that makes it really powerful, because if we need to see this change and we want to see the results, we really need to have that connection. I always say I don't have anything to sell, because I have no idea who you are, if I can help, if I want to help, and if we vibe together. So like a quick thing on that I always encounter, that I know is very tough to overcome, and I wanted to do your take on, is always the financial part. So it is an investment. Coaching is not cheap. And I know that it's always something that a lot of people, myself included, having invested thousands of dollars in coaches and always having a coach myself, it is not easy to invest in something that we have no idea. Maybe we can trust the coach, we trust the process. We might also trust a little bit of ourselves enough to say, I'm going to put in the work, I'm going to do it. But it's not something that we see results. It's not something we buy and we get. The fear number one when people start or have this conversation is always, what if this doesn't work for me? What if I don't see results? What if I kind of basically waste this huge amount of money? Why is it important to you, and what makes it possible? And what would you say to people that are like, what if I don't see results?
I mean, it might sound weird. I feel more secure about investing in like my personal growth and development than in like a physical product, because I know that this is money that I use to invest in myself, and I don't know what will come out of it, but that's like part of the process. I'm also spending money, like taking the time and prioritizing myself. And I know I will learn something. I don't know what it is, but I know that I am reaching out to someone who has like all different kinds of tools in helping me to guide me on that way. I don't know, for me, for some reason, I didn't feel scared about it. I totally acknowledge that a lot of people do, because it is a lot of money, but it's money that is spent on something that I'm building forever. So in a way, yeah, a couple of shoes last you like maybe a year, but I'm investing in building a better me. You can't really put a price on that. And but it was also hard to prioritize. You're thinking, oh, I could use this money on my kid or on someone in my community that's struggling more than me. But I realized, as we also touch upon in this conversation, if I prioritize me and my personal journey and being the person that I want to be, I can also give back more to my family and also to my community, even if I don't know what the outcome will be. But I know that I'm prioritizing me, and that doesn't have, you can't really put a price on that. I actually thought it was very cheap, in the price you take for your coaching program, thinking of how much you have invested of your time in actually creating this program. I think that's also what you need to think of when investing in something. Is like you're investing in that you have spent years and years and years building this, reading like 1,000 books, trying all different kinds of approaches with clients, connecting all this together. Like if I was supposed to do everything you've done in the last 10 years, I could be starting working on myself, when I'm like in the end of my 40s. But instead now I have the access to all of your expert knowledge just for like not a very high price compared to if you really like break it down. Also,
it is priceless. That's why it's very difficult to even just like have that conversation. For some people, also having that conversation with themselves, because they see that's like an add-on. It's just something nice they do for themselves, and don't understand that really the shift needs to be, this is actually a need to. This is like everything for you. If you don't care about your health, if you don't care about your mental health, if you don't really take that step up, you're never gonna see what you want to see and live the life that you want to live, even if you and you stay kind of trapped. And you can invest in all these kind of external things, and maybe even things like material stuff, but at the end of the day, if you can just invest in yourself, becoming that person that can handle everything, that can have more, that can do whatever. And I think that's the key. It's very valid to see, what if I don't see results? But again, that's exactly why we're here, right? That's why we're going to select the right people to come in. And it's also like we build a system where you're going to get results no matter what. Thank you so much for sharing that. Any final thoughts?
I'm excited to continue my journey, and I'm very curious to see what this part of my process will take me. But I had like high expectations coming in, and I haven't been disappointed. I think that's the most important thing I can say. I've actually been really astonished of how fast things has changed for me, like patterns that was like so ingrown to me that I didn't even know they existed. By just like some little tweaks, I've actually been able to change like big things, staying consistent and staying like with the small changes. You have this really beautiful metaphor that you shared in like a session some weeks ago, of like thinking of your life and more like if you were a gardener and not an architect. I really love this metaphor. It's like the best. My father is an architect, so I can totally relate. So like thinking like, okay, I should not all the time look at these like perfect systems of how to build like my house that is myself. Just like looking at, okay, I plant a little seed and I have to water it every day, but just like a little bit, give it attention. Sometimes there's winter, sometimes there's autumn, there's the seasons changing. It's never the same, but just like always looking at that little seed, and then it will grow. Instead of all the time pulling out the seed, oh, now I'll try something, I will try this approach and this approach, or this diet, or this workout, all these things. We want to try new things all the time. And that's actually the opposite. That's the case. Like stay consistent with the small things and you will see huge results. And it really sounds so simple, but
everybody knows that.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
the problem is not information.
No,
It's
no.
always what we always say. The problem is not information. The problem is implementation. That's where having that external accountability and knowing what to do, when to do it, and when you're actually kind of self-sabotaging yourself without knowing, that's where the important part lies. We all know what to do, but then we fail to implement and actually take care of ourselves the right way. So
yeah, and I wouldn't have been able to do that without guidance and help from you. I mean, that is also the key part, that even if I know these things, it really helps having a coach by your side that can remind you and always give you like some good concrete tools fitting the exact situations that you're in. And that momentum is really, really huge. And that, I think that's also a big thing in investing in a program like this, or investing in time with you, is that you help me stay consistent, and you help me use the momentum in my actual daily life, like down to everyday simple situations of how I can implement these little changes in what I'm doing right now.
yes, taking the big goals, the big pictures, and taking it down to the small action steps that we need to do daily without, again, procrastination and overthinking and getting down on ourselves, and how to embrace the emotions, control the mind, and really getting clarity and momentum, like you said, right? I appreciate you taking the time to share your experience and to help me put some different words than my own on my program and what we're trying to build here and the community as well. So thank you so much.